My name is Soila I do digital marketing, I do YouTube, and I'm a wife. Yes.
Yes, my name is Curtis, Jimmy Curtis the Fourth. My ID name is James Curtis Wamalwa, but Jimmy Curtis the Fourth is my social name. It's also the name I use for art, because I'm an art mentor as well as a professional artist. Yes, I'm a husband to an interesting wife. Yes.
So I met Curtis. I saw him first. We were in Daystar. He was doing a particular production for a particular course. So he was shooting a wedding scene. He was among the groomsmen. That's when I noticed him. I was called as an extra in the scene, and then I noticed him there. The next time I saw him was during a certain event, and how I met him is because myself and my friend were at the front. Then what happened, my friend left me and went to the VIP area. So him being from Daystar and saw me, he decided, let's go rescue that young girl and bring her to where we are. And that's how he came to take me. And that was the first time we talked.
She's given you the censored version of the story. Let me give you the accurate information of how the story was. So as she said, she saw me when there was this movie that was being shot, and she saw me, and she fell head over heels. Yani alianguka na kichwa yake yote. And she had been eyeing me in school for some weeks. No, this is the accurate information. She had been eyeing me and all that. Me, of course, I wasn't noticing her. Me, I was in another, I was a fourth year, she was a fresher, so I had bigger things to worry about. So, the day now we had the concert, and I noticed her. And my first perception of her is I thought she was a really spoiled girl, because I think how she was dressed and all that. So I just looked at her and was like, she's pretty, but she looks spoiled. And then I never thought of anything else about it. So the same day we met at the concert, Soila was there. You know how people in concert are jumping, so people are performing at the stage and people are jumping. So I'm noticing every time people jump, Soila is being pushed out of, she's being taken further and further behind. So I saw and I was like, okay, this can be an opportunity to score some points. So I was like, I've noticed you've been pushed from in front there, so I'll show you how we'll go back. So just hold my hand and trust the process. So every time guys would jump, we would take in their space. They would jump, would take in their space. We did that eventually until we got to the front where the barriers are. And I was like, yeah, so you see I've brought you here. Introduce yourself. So that's how we started the formal conversations. That was in 2011 December. And November actually. It was the end of November. So that's how we started. And from there, as they say, is history.
So my first impression of Curtis is this man is stubborn, he's spoiled, and also I found him a bit rugged because he had this big afro and combed with his goatee. Has never grown since then, still at the same height. I think after meeting him at the concert and then seeing how he responded to me, I saw another side of him. And I thought it was actually, he's a caring guy. He's not as spoiled as I thought he was. He's a bit caring.
But the truth of the matter is, the reason she thought I was stubborn and spoiled is because she wanted to be the lady who I was, acting the wedding scene and we were rubbing hands. So that's the beef she had. Yeah, so moving on.
Swiftly. Actually, the first date, he made me food because we were still in school. So he made me, I remember, meatballs and spaghetti, and gave me milkshake. He really went all out. He asked me, what's your favorite color? What's your favorite thing to eat? So I said meatballs and spaghetti. And the guy went all out and made the perfect meal for me for the first date.
Yeah. That one we're in agreement. Yeah, that one she has narrated it quite well. I really wanted to impress her. I remember I got flower petals, sprinkled them there on the carpet and all that. So she had a good time.
Yeah. And then I think from that date, most of our dates now, because of lack of money, both students is still struggling to find his footing in the career industry. We would meet a lot at the, what do you call this place?
Bomblast. The Bomblast place, yeah.
Would go to
the Memorial
Chubby,
Park.
yes. And the Chubby was booming with the sandwiches. We'd go buy a big sandwich and yogurt and sit at that place till evening, and then we all go home.
Yeah.
Such a good experience. I loved it. Yes.
Once in a while, when I've saved really well, we go for IMAX.
Yes, a movie.
Watch a movie or two. So fast forward to 2015, that's when I now started having thoughts of how to propose now, like for marriage. And it was really interesting because I had a group of friends, usually go to the same church. So what we used to do at that time is that at the end of every year, the couples in our church would have a dinner. It's like a couples dinner, we go have fun. So I decided this would be the day that I would propose to her. I take this opportunity to ask you this very important question.
On that day, because he came to pick me up from home, and I could see that he's nervous. He came with his friends. He was so nervous. I'm like, why are you so nervous? And if you're planning to propose to me, please don't propose to me today, because the way you are looking is like you're about to propose to me. It's like, nah, you don't worry, I can't propose it to you today. I'm like, okay, so. And true to my imaginations, we had food. After food, the owner of the restaurant, the manager, his manager, she just came and said, guys, what we normally do in this place, whenever we have a big crowd of people coming to have food, we want to reward them. So we're going to play a small game where you win various things. So I'm going to give each and every couple a bahasha, and whatever is in there is what you're going to do. If you do it so well, then you're given a present. Like, fantastic. Me, I was so excited. We are so competitive. We love games. We're like, we are taking this one. Our challenge was to go get something that was underneath a swimming pool, at the bottom of the pool. I'm like, wow. The guy was dressed in a tuxedo. So when we got that challenge, I'm like, you know what? You don't have to do it. We can just lose. It's okay. It's like, no, we have to get this thing. I'm like, are you going to get to the pool in your tux? He's like, yes, I'm going to do it. I'm like, okay, let's go. Everybody got up. We went to the pool area. So we are told to guess what exactly is inside the pool, inside the box. I'm like, it must be dessert, some nice dessert. And so the friends and myself, tunashangilia tu hapo, please go get it. Hey, you can do it, you can do it. He dived in, went, took the stuff, came out. People came running with towels so that they can like tap him dry. And those lights, there was action, there was music all of a sudden, and the guy is opening that thing. And I'm like, let's open. Me, I'm here, I'm there, helping him opening the dessert so that we can all enjoy it. And see, what is this we won? He opens and then goes on his knees, and I'm like, what? I thought I told you not to propose to me. In my mind, I didn't say that because I was so shocked. And then he didn't say, will you marry me, immediately. Somebody came, took him up, took him to I was taken away, put on a seat, and then he got up, gave away the ring to somebody, and then there was music, and then they danced, and then he came and said, will you marry me? And I'm like, I was crying the entire time.
That proposal took 6 months. 6 months. I had so many ideas. It's just that I didn't have as much money to pull off some of the ideas that I had. So that was the one that was most practical. 6 months. Even for the dancing part she's talking about, it was a flash mob. So I talked to some of my friends and I was like, the moment we get to this point, let's all just jump in, start dancing. So I had to go for dancing classes for 6 months, and I'm not a dancer.
2 left feet.
So that 6 months was very much needed, and I still wasn't the best dancer, but it achieved the purpose. I've never seen her cry so much. It was a good scene to see her crying with so much joy.
Even by the fact of me knowing that he might propose by the way he was behaving, I think the surprise for me is how he did it. The pool, coming out, the flash mob, the song. I see him dancing and I'm like, what are you doing? That was the most exciting part and the surprise for me. I think it was one of my best days ever. About marrying somebody else, someone from a different tribe, for me as well, when after interacting with Curtis, literally in my mind, I wasn't dating Aluya. It wasn't in my mind, actually, you're Aluya, Siju, you come from where? I see you as my friend, and I see you as somebody I want to marry. And then until my mom, I'm dating Aluya, telling my dad, I'm dating Aluya, and they're like, wow, okay, you know what they do when people die, you'll be shaped, you'll be inherited by somebody else. And I'm like, what? Like, literally, let me tell you, there was some fear that came into me. I'm like, that's true, but these ones are like in Nairobi.
It's a Nairobi.
I don't think he's going to to do all that to me. But kuna point. And then my mom is like, so let's assume such things, they might happen. Don't just think you are so in love, you've forgotten about those traditional things that can happen. He will die. You don't know how they're going to take you after that. And I'm like, okay, why even talking about death? We haven't even gotten married yet. In my mind, I started thinking of friends who are married to the same tribe, Luyas. How are they? They are doing great. Nothing bad happened. And then my parents are here probably just picking a few things and saying, this happened and that happened. And I'm like, okay, that's their experience. It doesn't have to be my own experience, Yeah. But after, it wasn't even like a long conversation or a debate, like for 2 years or 2 months, us debating about the tribe. We just had, I think they just sat down together, my father and my mother. I'm like, you know what? She has decided. She's a grown woman. She's a grown lady. She can make the decision.
I think our parents, their concerns are valid because they grew up in a different time and they witnessed certain things. So by the time your parent is telling you, hey, those people are like this, really, it's not really hate. It's just how they saw things when they grew up. It's the stories they hear from other people. Because even me, my mom she was like, so umeamua ni Masai utatuletea. Those kind of things they say. And she had her own perceptions about how Masais are and things like that. But I was able to convince her otherwise. And this is the important thing of introducing your partner to your parents early, so that they can get to interact with them and know who they are. So that by the time you are starting to bring the idea of marriage, it's not just a stranger that you are throwing at them. This is somebody they've been able to socialize with and know them. So for me, what I usually say, it's important to honor your parents and your elders and your guardians or whoever you are accountable to. It's really important. But at the end of the day, the wedding and the marriage is yours and that person. And if it reaches a point whereby you have to either choose this person or choose your parents, and you are convinced that this person is the right guy, stick to the person you want to marry. Parents will come around. So yeah, it's not a call to rebellion. I know we usually say stuff like, oh, when 2 people get married, it's 2 families coming together. But really, it's not 2 families coming together. It is you from this family and you from this family coming together to start a new family. So you are not trying to bridge a gap here.
Of August 2016 was a wedding date, makeup being done, it's a bit chilly, and I'm like, wow, it's going to rain in my wedding. It's going to be like those movie weddings where it just rains and your makeup comes out, and I was so worried in the morning about all that. But I think for us, the wedding was our perfect wedding. We called it our perfect wedding because everything went as it were, from getting caterers, from getting service providers, the gowns, those people who do your nails and your hair. No, I did my own hair. It was really, I think for us, it was a smooth, a smooth journey. The only hurdles we faced was probably now with money. But now when the family in my side decided, I will do a pre-wedding for you, get some money and give it to you. And his family saying, as you're going to come to you in this particular way, through for you in this particular way. Because I don't think myself and him would have afforded the kind of wedding we had. We wouldn't have, and if we worked for the next 3 how long, we wouldn't have. It represented who we are. It represented our characteristics. It represented what we wanted to achieve. We wanted to have like a vintage wedding, haystacks, horses. Saying of horses. So I decided as a bride to get on a horse and not on the chariot, because brides always go with a chariot. I did my practice 2-3 weeks before the wedding, a month actually before the wedding.
The horses were okay.
Yes, I got to the horse, did my stuff with the horse like 3 times. Fantastic. And then the last day when I went there, the guys who are managing that area told me, for you, I think it will be okay if we give you a pony, because this other one might misbehave. And I'm like, okay, can I do a round with it? Like, fantastic. Did one and it was okay. Then came the day of the wedding. They're supposed to have put a cone.
Yeah, to cover their eyes.
Yes, the eyes, but they didn't. Oh my goodness. The horse saw me, it was running away from me. I tried to get closer to it just can't. I forced myself onto the horse and I could feel the thing shaking. For a moment, I thought it's going to throw me off. And I told my mom and my dad, because we were there, even them, they are afraid. The only thing they're used to is cows and goats, and then there's a horse here.
They don't know how to handle it.
What? No. You can tame a donkey. This is a horse. It has its own mind. It's matter. Like, so my father was, father. My mother was on just saying, Soila, you don't have to do this. Imagine. I have to. And I've worked onto it. Thing is shaking. It doesn't want to go. It can't even take 3 steps. You take 3 steps, it refuses to go. And I'm like, you know what? Before it becomes a story in the news, a bride was thrown off by a horse, I am out. I dropped and walked down the aisle with my parents, and it was a lovely day.
Yeah.
And then because he also got on a stallion, a really tall horse. I can pick a malikaza to poop. Stop before people. I think it was nervous. I think that was the most interesting thing about our wedding. And then the throat, what do you call it? The dancing part. Amazing. It's the brides. We danced both of us for each other. And I could just see my parents and my family members staring and wondering what the world has changed.
Just happened.
What the world has changed. Now the weddings are like this, young people are just dancing the entire time. But I think they enjoyed it, because they'd still talk about the wedding even now. They liked it.
I loved that wedding. I didn't like the preparation, but I liked what happened on that day. And that wedding had so many mistakes. But I think the importance of having a good team is that they're able to cover some of those mistakes, such that the ordinary person, the normal guest, does not even notice there's a mistake. It's just the people who are planning that are able to recognize, here we had planned for it to go this way, it went this way. But I loved it. The service was it 20 minutes?
12 minutes.
12 minutes.
12, 15.
15
Yeah.
And I like how our pastor usually says, this is a church, this is a wedding ceremony. It is not a church service. So there was no preaching, there was no praise and worship. He was like, if you want to listen to preaching and praise and worship, go to church. This year, here we are joining people together. And I really liked that, because a lot of people during those things, the couple has already switched off. They are not listening when you're giving them premarital advice. He was like, you want premarital advice? Go to premarital classes. So I liked how it was made simple and short, and a bigger portion of the wedding was focused on the fun, the eating, the bonding, the photography, people hanging out and all that. So I really enjoyed it. It was good. Guys had fun.
I think another thing that was outstanding about it is the ring thing. Something else that was out of for us, we decided to use a drone to bring the rings. So it was something really fascinating. Literally, the whole thing represented who we are, the fun side of us, and what we wanted to portray and achieve. It was a good thing. So you get married, you're told go home, go multiply, bring children. You just got married an hour, and then your auntie's like, so leave me, and I'm like, auntie, I just got married an hour ago. And then you get into this house, and then there are different things you do differently. Like for me, finish your juice, take your glass to the sink. Him, finish your juice, put it there, the flies will come, it will grow mold. I mean, provided I take it to the sink, after coming 2 years from now, it will still be to the sink. Oh my goodness. It is a place of dying to yourself. It's a place of where you have to be really selfless and be there for your partner and him being there for you. So marriage is a really fun part for us. We have enjoyed best moments. We've stepped on each other because now of those things. Like, I'm used to doing things like this in my home. As we are like siblings, I cook today, you cook tomorrow. And I'm like, he was like, no. I mean, you're the wife of the house, you cook every day. I'm like, Z, no.
Actually, a lot of things people fight about, they are more of adjustment issues.
Yes.
They are not really big problems. Like now what she's saying, I grew up as an only child. Soila grew up in a family of 5.
Yes.
So Soila is used to tit for tat. Today she cooks, tomorrow it's the sister, the other day it's the brother. So there's that. So we're here in the house. Soila has cooked today. She's so happy. She's feeling like, hey, I've accomplished my wifely duties. Tomorrow she wakes up. So we are there watching TV. And I'm like, hey, what time is dinner today?
Like, I cooked.
And she's like, what do you mean? I cooked yesterday. And I'm like, yeah, you're supposed to cook today. She's like, no. If I cook yesterday, you cook today. And I'm like, Soila, I am not your sibling. Me, I was not brought up like that. So we came to realize that the issue is not really, I have no problem cooking. I cook a lot. The problem was that she has a preset mindset of how things are supposed to happen, and she has not communicated. If she communicated, tungepanga, we know how it's going to happen. So a lot of fights people have, it's an upbringing issue.
Yeah.
You've been brought up this way, I've been brought up this way, and then we come together, and then we don't talk about how we are supposed to relate.
Yeah.
All of us is assuming that you'll do things the way you are used to.
Yeah.
So communication has really helped, and obviously we've found a middle ground.
3 things I love about Curtis. Wow, 1, this man is so dedicated. What? When Curtis, it's okay. When Curtis has put his mind to doing something, Yani, he will sleep at 1 or 2 doing the same thing. There's a certain way he has dedicated. He's so dedicated, and when he has captured a particular vision, he will run with it. Me, I'm like, ndio yuko niko kwa sidelines. Go. And then me talk, and I'm like, I don't even believe in what he's saying. By the way, he's doing it, and I'm like, wow, by the way, whatever he's doing is good. Secondly, oh my God, how he serves. Curtis is that kind of man that will go to the kitchen. Actually, even right now, he cooks more than I do. He goes to the kitchen more than I do. He can easily do stuff in the house, as in he's less of that traditional man that we've seen in so many people. That's another thing that I really like about him. And then he's supportive, and he's my first encourager. And then his sense of humor. Curtis likes to say that he can sing and he can dance. And then he only does that in the house because he has 2 left feet and a bad voice. I think his sense of humor is something else that really, it's a character trait that I like. It just makes the marriage fun.
Soila, as you can clearly tell in this interview, Soila is the life of the party. And I love that about her. She really brightens up whenever she goes. And she's deliberate when she's advising you. Because there are times I would come to her with an idea, and then I'll tell her, and she'll act like it's like it hasn't hit her or anything. So sometimes I get disappointed, only for her to come to me 3 or 4 days later, and she's like, you remember that idea you mentioned? now you're going to do it like this, like this. She adds so much meat to it, and I'm like, wow, I didn't know you are listening to me when I was actually talking. So she was talking about me running with a vision, but something she does to that vision is that she knows how to add to it. The other thing I like is that she forgets easily. She forgets easily, and this especially comes in handy when I've messed up in the house. She's usually more keen to let go of negative things and proceed with what is positive. And for me, that is always a good trait to have, because it's really, it's not fun when you have somebody who keeps on carrying bitterness and stuff in the house. So she always has that let's move on quickly sort of thing. I really love that.
I'm talking from the side of the ladies. We think when you get married now you have no life whatsoever. You'll have to be the one to cook Monday to Sunday, Monday to Monday. You have to put yourself in a certain way. As in literally, forget about your career, forget about your dreams, forget about your goals. Now you're the wife. You go, if your husband wants to be a finance person, you go in that direction. You lose yourself. But it doesn't happen like that. You don't lose yourself. If anything, there's a merging of those things. There's a merging of a vision. Something else about parents is the story about you just gotten married a month into it, and then they start talking about children. Those are things that parents talk about. I'm like, okay, there should be a bit of a distance when it comes to such conversation. Just let the couple, for the parents.
Avoid pressure.
Yes, don't give the couple pressure. They've just gotten married, you want them to have children. No. You actually don't know what people are going through when they're trying. They're those ones who don't conceive immediately. Or people conceive and they lose children and they don't share with anybody. So I think
some have plans to
just wait the next years for like 3 years before they get the children. It's a really sensitive topic that parents need also to give their children that space. Allow them time to go and build their culture, their foundation, understand who they are, how they are doing things, because marriage is a growth level. Don't beat yourself so hard that, oh, I'm not the best of wife, I'm not a good wife to my husband because I don't do this. No, take it so easily. Allow yourself to make mistakes.
Identity and purpose. Identity in the sense that most men, unfortunately, we are defined by what we do. We are defined by chores. So what happens when you are not able to do those things? So it's a place where you really need to understand who you are. You need to understand your identity. You need to make a clear demarcation between your identity and your chores or your responsibilities. So that you don't define yourself by things that can easily change at any given point in time. Understand the real purpose of what marriage is about. If it's kids, anybody can get kids. You don't need to get married for that. If it's having a companion in the house, anybody can do that.
Can get a dog.
Can get a dog, you know. So what is that thing that really makes marriage, what gives it the real purpose? So that when you get married and you can no longer have kids, you don't think you're a failure.
There's never a perfect man in this world. They also make mistakes. It's how you are committed to adjusting to those things. Yeah, but it's a very beautiful thing. I'll tell every woman to get married.